Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Gabby. If you're new here, I make videos about social work, business, career, and life. So if you're interested in those topics, definitely stick around and stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel for more. And for this video today, I want to talk about something that people ask me about quite frequently. People who are interested in getting a master's in social work, they ask me what the best bachelor's degree program is for them, one that will really prepare them for entering into a master's of social work program, and most importantly, entering into the field of social work and the social impact space in general. So if you're interested in hearing from me about the top 10 bachelor's degrees I would recommend for anyone who is interested in getting an MSW, then stay tuned for the rest of the video. Okay, so before I get into my top 10 recommendations for potential bachelor's degree programs, I want to first start by saying you do not need one type of degree in order to get an MSW degree. There is really no right or wrong answer about what bachelor's degree program you enter into if you're interested in getting an MSW. There's so many people who have all types of bachelor's degrees and they later find out that they want to go the MSW route. It's quite common for young people to think that they want their lives to go in a certain direction or that they want to do a certain career path, to later find out that they don't want to do that and they want to get a master's degree in something that's totally different. That's really common, especially now when we are expecting 18-year-olds to have it all figured out and know exactly what they want to go to college for. You can get a bachelor's degree in anything and still be accepted into most MSW programs. All MSW programs have their own requirements, but I personally have not heard of an MSW program that denied someone based on what their bachelor's degree was in. As long as you are someone who fits the mission of that MSW program, you have volunteer experience, you're interested in giving back in some sort of way, you would be a good candidate. But I do think some people are more prepared for an MSW program based on whatever their undergraduate degree was in. There are some undergraduate degrees that prepare you better than others and are more of a prerequisite for an MSW program. So just think about it. When you're getting a master's in social work, you are learning about people who have systemically been oppressed, people who may be suffering from some type of emotional or mental instability or illnesses, individuals who have had some sort of social justice issues acted upon them. So, social work is really about the individual and their environment, right? So you're looking at not just people, but you're also looking at their environment as well. You're looking at the social structures that they're in, the overall societal structures, the community structures, their neighborhood environment, and how those things intersect and impact their overall health, well-being, and life outcomes. If you think about that in the general sense, what type of undergraduate degrees would give you the chance to learn more about people, systems, and our environment as a whole? So the top 10 bachelor's degree programs I am going to recommend kind of deals with that. Okay, so first off, of course, I'm going to recommend that you look into getting a bachelor's in social work. Now, I've talked to some people and they said that their specific colleges don't have a BSW or a bachelor's of social work program. So if you're currently in undergrad and you didn't really prepare to study social work, but you do want to get an MSW, I would recommend you to get one of, the other degrees that I'm going to mention. But if your school does have a bachelor's of social work program, then it would be a great idea for you to go ahead and get your undergraduate degree in that. The benefit is that in a lot of MSW programs, you can qualify to enroll into an advanced standing program and get your MSW degree in just 1 year instead of 2. And when you're thinking about how expensive an MSW can be, saving 1 year of money can definitely help you out in the long run. And time is money as well, right? That popular phrase. So if you're able to get your degree faster and get into the marketplace and the workforce faster, you can start accruing income faster as well. So that's something to definitely look into. And of course, your MSW process is going to be less of a challenge if you already have your BSW because you've already been introduced to a lot of the topics and ideas. But I do have an argument against actually getting your bachelor's in social work if you want to get an MSW. If you're the type of person who, wants to do something that is a little bit more multifaceted, or maybe an intersection between social work and some other type of field, then maybe you want to switch it up and actually get your bachelor's in something else. That would be a great way to ensure that you're more of a well-rounded social worker at the end of the day. But the bottom line is, yes, staying on the straight and narrow path of getting your bachelor's in social work as well as your MSW in social work, it's intuitive, it makes a lot of sense. But the downside of that is that maybe you're not able to get, a fresh perspective or as well-rounded of a perspective as if you would have switched it up a bit and gotten, two separate degrees focused in two different areas. So my second recommendation, which is actually the undergraduate degree that I got, psychology. I think psychology and social work, they definitely overlap. If you do decide to get a bachelor's in social work, you're going to have to take a nice amount of psychology classes most likely. And there are just a lot of similarities, especially if you're interested in getting your clinical license and going the therapy route when you get your MSW as well, because you're both looking at individuals and you're trying to seek understanding around why their mental health may be lacking. When I got my undergraduate degree, I took classes that helped me to learn about mental illnesses, about typical stages that children, adolescents, and adults go throughout their lifespan. And that was really helpful. And right now, where I do develop programs with teenagers in mind, a lot of what I learned comes in handy. So even if you want to focus on macro social work in the future, that often means that you're going to be a part of developing programs, and learning about the lifespan and, human stages in psychology can be really helpful as you're thinking about creating such programs. And I think studying psychology also made me more interested in the business side as well, which helped me to find success in the field that I'm in right now, which is focused on corporate social responsibility. When I was in my psychology program, I had a few classes around workplace psychology, organizational industrial psychology, and that really helped me to better understand employees and how to retain employees, how to engage employees, and how to create a healthy and happy workplace environment. So I use a lot of what I learned then in my work right now, especially around the volunteer engagement piece that I do at my current company. I think getting a bachelor's in psychology is a great idea, especially for those who eventually want to get an MSW. Okay, so my third recommendation is sociology. And this, of course, doesn't come as a surprise, right? Because when people think about social work, they often get it mixed up with sociology, but there is a difference. Sociology is more theoretical in nature, and it's more, behind the scenes, research based, and not working directly one-on-one with people. But I think sociology is a great field to go into because you learn a lot about structures and different political structures and the pros and cons of all of them. So if you want to get into policy work, I think sociology is great. If you're interested in more macro social work, I think sociology would be a great foundation for you. Sociology was actually my minor. All right, so the fourth recommendation I'm going to make is HDFS, and that stands for Human Development and Family Studies. A lot of colleges have this program, and honestly, I don't know a lot about this program. I do have a friend who got her degree in this, and she ended up getting a master's of social work. But in this field, you're learning a lot about the development of people at different age ranges and at different stages, and how their environments are impacting them. And I think this would be ideal for someone who's interested in more direct practice, interested in case management, therapy, doing group therapy, maybe doing marriage counseling, family therapy, that kind of thing. You'll also learn about the historical context of, how families are structured, how societies and communities are structured, and how that's kind of impacted how the structure looks today. So if you're interested in approaching social work from that lens, I would say this is a great bachelor's choice for you. All right, so number 5 recommendation, I mentioned it earlier, but business. I get questions from people who ask me what would be great prereqs if they want to end up getting an MSW and doing something like what I do, working within the corporate social responsibility space. I think psychology prepared me well for it, but I think business probably would have prepared me even better. When you're working within CSR or the private foundation space, you really have to have an understanding of both the business side as well as the social impact side. So I think having that fusion of a business bachelor's degree and an MSW degree would be very powerful, specifically for people who are interested in corporate social responsibility. If you're ever interested in any type of like social enterprise or social entrepreneurship endeavor in the future, I think having a bachelor's in business would be a great fit for you because of that as well. And also, if you just want to own your own business in general, or if you ever want to set up your own private practice. Not saying that you have to have a degree in business to do any of these things, because you can take business related classes or expose yourself to, business related ideas and topics to build your knowledge base later. But if you have that foundation in business, it would really help you out. And I've talked about this in other videos, but it may seem like social work and business is so different and it's just on two opposite ends of the spectrum. But in both fields, you're trying to find solutions for problems that humans are having. You're trying to help them to fill a need. So that's why I really think business and social work is a great fit together. So it may be something you want to explore. I see how you're looking at me. You're like, I don't know about you. You're side-eyeing me right now, but I'm honestly telling the truth. Okay, so the sixth recommendation I'm going to give you is anthropology. So the field of anthropology looks at human behaviors and social constructs that took place at different stages and periods of humanity. So it's basically the study of humanity. And when you're a social worker, you're working with a lot of humans. When you study anthropology, you're going to really sharpen your research skills, your writing skills. You're going to learn about a lot of cool theories that can come in handy for you once you're a social worker. And it can help you to better understand from a historical context why one of your patients or your clients may behave in a certain way, or why they may be plagued with certain anxieties. So anyways, I think anthropology would blend very nicely with social work and can help you to have a different perspective. All right, so recommendation number 7. Gender studies or women's studies. If you know that ultimately you want to get your MSW and work around women's rights issues or create programs and therapeutic strategies geared towards women, then I think having a bachelor's degree in this area can be very helpful for you. You'll learn about women's rights and gender studies through a historical lens. And it can really help you to work intensely and closely with women in the future when you become a social worker. All right, so number 8, I would recommend some type of ethnic studies major. Whether it's ethnic studies or studying a certain nation or a group of people, an example would be African American studies or Asian studies, Latino studies, something like that. If you know that you want to work in underserved neighborhoods with African Americans or with some other type of ethnic group, then having an undergraduate degree focused on that group would really be valuable for you. It can really help you to once again understand the historical context of certain laws that were put in place that ultimately held certain groups back or made it challenging for certain groups to succeed in our current society. And learning about it from a historical context can really give you the tools and understanding that you need to potentially help to make new and improved laws on behalf of these individuals. And when I was in my grad school program, there were quite a few people who did some type of ethnic studies bachelor's degree. All right, so oh gosh, where are we now? Number 9. So my 9th recommendation would be urban studies. So this will be great for people who specifically want to study the macro side of things. If you want to do some type of community development, community health, or, urban planning, then this would be a great undergraduate degree for you. It'll teach you about the structures of cities and urban communities. It'll help you to understand how you can measure the health of a certain urban community and how you can help to improve an urban community for everyone who lives there. So if you know after you get your MSW, you want to go to the big city, do some type of urban development work, then this could be a great bachelor's degree for you. When you work in macro social work, you're going to have a lot of colleagues who have some type of urban planning, urban study background. So being able to speak the same language as them will help you guys to work together more effectively. At my last job, most of my colleagues had an urban planning background. All right, so number 10 and final recommendation recommendation, last but not least, I would say a great bachelor's degree for someone who wants to get an MSW is political science. And I think right now, within the certain landscape that we live in, you all understand why I'm saying this. Politics matter. Currently, you may notice that a lot of the policies that we have in place do not benefit underserved or certain oppressed communities, and social workers are often working with these individuals. So if you can actually understand the way the government is set up, what branch of government is in charge of what, who you need to go to get certain things done within your community, and what steps need to actually take place for a new policy to be implemented, all of that is going to help you in your future career as a social worker. If you're interested in mental health, you have to understand policy. If you're interested in women's rights, youth advocacy, understanding policy is going to be important. Policy intersects with social work constantly. So if you can have a foundation or a bachelor's degree in political science and gain an understanding of how our really confusing government works, and not only are you going to have all of this information, but you're going to be able to help your community and your clients understand all of this too, and help them to get past some of the red tape and take actions that can help to benefit their lives. All right, you guys, so these are the top 10 undergraduate degrees that I would recommend if you're interested in getting your MSW degree. As I mentioned, you can get your undergraduate degree in almost anything. There is no one degree you need at most schools. As long as you're someone who's able to show that your personal mission and values align with that of the MSW program, then you should have no problem getting acceptance into that program. MSW programs know that when you're entering into the program, you may not have a lot of background experience in social work. That's why they have the internships and the field placements. So don't feel like you have to have a bachelor's of social work in order to get accepted into an MSW program. Will it be good to have that? Would it be helpful? Yes, it definitely will be, especially if you like the idea of getting your MSW in 1 year instead of 2. But other than that, I hope this video was helpful. These are my top 10 recommendations. I think if you go with any of these 10 majors, you're gonna have a great foundation for applying for your MSW program. If any of you out there have any of these 10 undergraduate degrees, please comment below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys in my next video. See ya.